Welcome back to our channel, USA Coins 69, where hidden gems aren't just found underground, they're often sitting quietly in your change jar, your grandfather's coin box, or tucked away in an old drawer. Today, we're diving into a piece of American coinage that might seem ordinary at first glance but carries a world of intrigue, history, and yes, potentially a serious payday. So sit back, get comfortable, and prepare to be amazed by the fascinating story of the United States of America's Jefferson nickel, specifically the 5-cent coin from the year 1990, with a mint mark. This is more than just pocket change, it could be a secret jackpot hiding in plain sight. Let's begin by looking at what makes the Jefferson nickel so special. First introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel replaced the Buffalo nickel and has since become one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. It features the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, who was not only the author of the Declaration of Independence but also a passionate architect, philosopher, and advocate for liberty. His legacy is honored on this 5-cent coin, and for decades, it has told a story through metal and design. Now, you might be wondering, what's so interesting about the year 1990? What could possibly make this particular Jefferson nickel so desirable to collectors and experts alike? Well, the answer lies in a mix of scarcity, minting quality, hidden variations, and of course, condition. When a coin like the 1990 Jefferson nickel is minted, most go on to live a hard life in circulation, bouncing from pocket to cash register, collecting scratches, nicks, and grime. But a select few, sometimes through pure luck, are kept in pristine condition. And fewer still are struck with subtle differences or errors that dramatically boost their value. Let's talk a little bit about the mint mark. The 1990 Jefferson nickel can have a mint mark indicating where it was produced, D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, and S for San Francisco. These marks may seem small, but they carry big significance. Depending on the mint, the coin's rarity can vary. For example, San Francisco typically produces proof coins, specially made for collectors, while Denver and Philadelphia coins are usually made for circulation. If you happen to have a 1990 nickel with a D or P mint mark in exceptional condition, you may already be in possession of something special, but here's where it gets really interesting. Some of these nickels have very slight errors or variations that were never meant to leave the U.S. mint. We're talking about off-center strikes, double dies, missing elements, or even planchet errors, where the coin was struck on the wrong kind of metal blank. These errors are incredibly rare, and because they happen by accident, only a tiny handful make it into circulation. Coin collectors, known as numismatists, go crazy for these oddities because they're like winning the lottery, truly one-of-a-kind pieces that no one else may ever own. Now imagine this, a coin that was minted in 1990, perfectly preserved for over 30 years, perhaps with a rare error that slipped through unnoticed. That coin could be sitting in a box in your attic, lying among loose change in your car, or even hiding at the bottom of your piggy bank. That's what makes this so exciting. Anyone could be holding a rare and valuable piece of U.S. history without even realizing it. You see, the value of coins isn't just about age. It's about condition, rarity, and desirability. A worn-out coin is interesting, sure, but a flawless one? That's a treasure. Coins that are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and receive a high grade, say MS 67 or higher, can command serious money in auctions. And when you add a rare error or a unique variety to the mix, collectors will pay a premium just to own a piece of that numismatic rarity, and let's not forget the emotional and historical value. Owning a 1990 Jefferson nickel in top condition isn't just about money, it's about holding a slice of Americana, a symbol of craftsmanship, design, and the enduring legacy of Thomas Jefferson himself. The Monticello on the reverse side of the coin, Jefferson's beautiful Virginia estate, adds another layer of elegance and symbolism. That structure wasn't just his home, it was his vision, his design, and a physical representation of his ideals. What makes coin collecting so magical is the journey. Every coin has traveled through hands, across states, over years and decades. Some were saved on purpose, others by chance. And every so often, one of those coins becomes the subject of fascination, desire, and yes, even financial gain. So, what should you do if you think you might have a 1990 Jefferson nickel with a mint mark that looks unusually pristine or slightly different? First, take a closer look. Use a magnifying glass. Look for any irregularities. Check for double lettering, off-center images, or a faded mint mark. If anything looks unusual, don't rush to spend it. Consider sending it to a professional grading service. Having your coin authenticated and graded is the only way to truly determine its value and appeal in the collector's market. There's one more thing to remember: this isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge. By learning what to look for, by paying attention to detail, and by staying curious, you put yourself in the best possible position to discover hidden treasures. The next rare coin might be in your pocket, but it's up to you to spot it. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Are you ready to hear what a 1990 Jefferson nickel with the right conditions, features, and rarity can actually sell for? Hold on to your seat, because one of these coins, under the perfect storm of preservation and rarity, was reported to be valued at $74,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 5-cent piece, created in 1990, could be worth more than a luxury car, more than most people make in a year, all because of its condition, uniqueness, and appeal to the right collector. Today's story is no exception. Whether you're a lifelong collector, a curious beginner, or someone who just enjoys the thrill of a treasure hunt, this video is one you absolutely don't want to miss. We're traveling back to 1973, a time of change, music, bold fashion, and yes, fascinating coins. And at the heart of today's story is a humble 5-cent piece that many people pass over every single day, the Jefferson nickel. But don't let its everyday appearance fool you. Some versions of this 1973 nickel might be worth far more than 5 cents. In fact, depending on the condition, mint mark, and a few secret details, one of these coins has the power to transform your loose change into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. So, let's zoom in on the Jefferson nickel, specifically, the one minted in 1973. This coin features the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with his sharp profile, thoughtful expression, and timeless legacy cast in metal. He's looking left, just as he has on nickels since 1938. And behind him, on the reverse side, stands Monticello, his beloved Virginia home and one of the most beautifully designed architectural structures in American history. This design may be familiar to anyone who's ever held a nickel, but what most people don't realize is that not all nickels are created equal. Especially not the ones minted in 1973. Let's dig a little deeper into that year. By 1973, the Jefferson nickel had already been circulating for 35 years. It was a staple of everyday transactions, found in vending machines, candy shops, gas stations, and every corner of American life. The coins from this period were minted primarily in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Each of these mints had their own quirks, and each produced millions of nickels, but here's where things get exciting. Not every coin minted was perfect. During the minting process, errors sometimes occurred. A die might strike twice, slightly off-center. A blank coin might be fed incorrectly. A planchet might have the wrong composition. Sometimes even the mint mark could be misaligned, missing, or doubled. These errors are incredibly rare, but they are the holy grail for coin collectors, and here's the kicker: 1973 was one of those years where a few such unusual nickels made it into circulation. So, if you have a 1973 Jefferson nickel, the first thing to do is flip it over. Take a look at that mint mark. Is it a clear, well-defined D for Denver? A clean S for San Francisco? Or is something off? Maybe it's faint, missing, or doubled. Sometimes the smallest mistake means the biggest reward. Now let's talk about condition. A coin's grade, meaning how worn or pristine it is, can make all the difference. Most nickels that have been used in daily life show signs of wear. Scratches, worn-down details, discoloration, all of that lowers a coin's value. But a coin that has been untouched, stored properly, or even better, struck perfectly and never circulated, is in what collectors call mint state. If it's graded MS-65, MS-66, or even higher, its value goes up dramatically. Some nickels from 1973 have received these top-tier grades and are now considered true collector's items. So where might you find one of these incredible nickels? That's the beautiful part, almost anywhere. Maybe you inherited a coin collection from a grandparent. Maybe you picked up a jar of change from a garage sale. Maybe it's sitting quietly in your own collection, just waiting to be discovered. You'd be amazed how many incredible coins are tucked away, unrecognized for their worth, and the best part. The 1973 Jefferson nickel isn't some obscure collector's item locked away in museums. It's out there in the wild. It's not impossible to find. You just have to know what to look for: the mint mark, the condition, the quality of the strike, and any possible errors that make your coin stand out from the rest. Now, if you think you've got one, don't rush to sell it. You'll want to have it evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These experts will examine the coin under magnification, determine its exact grade, and verify its authenticity. With a certified grade and description, you'll have documentation that can help you sell, or insure, a valuable find. Collectors love Jefferson nickels not just for their beauty, but for their history. Thomas Jefferson was a visionary, a writer, a thinker, and a dreamer. He helped build the foundation of the United States, and his image on this coin is a powerful symbol of freedom, innovation, and the American spirit. Owning a special piece of that legacy is more than a collector's prize, it's a connection to history itself. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. You're probably wondering, just how much can a 1973 Jefferson nickel with the right combination of rarity, condition, and uniqueness actually be worth? Hold your breath. Because one such nickel has been reported to sell for a jaw-dropping total of $70,000. That's right. A simple 5-cent coin, struck in 1973, carefully preserved and cherished, reached a value most people wouldn't even dream of. It goes to show that incredible value can come in the smallest packages, and that sometimes, the treasure you've been searching for is already in your hands. Today, we're unlocking the story behind a simple 5-cent coin that you've probably seen hundreds of times, or maybe even have in your pocket right now. But here's the twist: this small piece of metal could actually be a hidden fortune. We're talking about the United States of America Jefferson nickel, specifically, the one minted in 1991. Now, you might be thinking, how could something so recent, so common, be worth anything more than 5 cents? That's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Because when it comes to rare and valuable coins, it's not just about age, it's about details, condition, rarity, and knowing exactly what to look for. Let's begin by taking a look at this iconic American coin. The Jefferson nickel has been part of American life since 1938, carrying with it the image of one of the country's most influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. On the obverse side of the coin, you'll find his familiar left-facing portrait, based on a sculpture by artist Felix Schlag. It's simple, classic, and patriotic. On the reverse, the coin proudly features Monticello, Jefferson's majestic home in Virginia. With its neoclassical design and detailed dome, Monticello isn't just a building, it's a symbol of Jefferson's brilliance as an architect and visionary. Now, jump ahead to 1991. At a glance, the nickel from that year doesn't look much different than others. But hidden within some of those 1,991 nickels are qualities that turn them from everyday change into rare collectibles that can command serious attention, and serious money, in the world of numismatics. Here's where the magic begins. Like many U.S. coins, the Jefferson nickel was minted at different locations across the country. In 1991, 3 major mints were producing these nickels: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint is identified by a tiny mint mark on the coin. For Philadelphia, it's a P. For Denver, D. And for San Francisco, it's an S. The mint mark might seem like a small detail, but in the coin world, small details can mean big money. Why? Because mint marks not only tell you where the coin was made, they also hint at how many were produced, how rare they might be, and in some cases, whether that coin was ever meant to go into circulation at all. Most 1991 Jefferson nickels were used in everyday transactions, worn down by decades of use. But here's the twist: a few of these nickels escaped the usual wear and tear. They were either kept in pristine condition, struck with extraordinary precision, or, more intriguingly, were created with minting errors. These are the coins that collectors dream about. Let's talk about those errors. Coin errors are like little miracles, flukes of timing and machinery that result in coins that look slightly, or sometimes dramatically, different from the rest. For the 1991 Jefferson nickel, some of the known errors include off-center strikes, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and even nickels struck on the wrong type of planchet, the metal blank used before a coin is struck. These errors might sound technical, but think of it like this: if your nickel has letters that appear to be shadowed, a mint mark that looks slightly off, or a design element that doesn't quite line up, it could be a one-of-a-kind piece. And collectors love one-of-a-kind. Now let's talk about condition. You may have heard terms like uncirculated or mint state. These are grades given to coins based on how well preserved they are. A coin that has been handled, pocketed, and dropped will show signs of wear, scratches, nicks, or faded details. But a coin that has been kept safe, untouched, and clean for over 3 decades can earn an MS grade, mint state. And the higher that grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. MS 65, MS 66, MS 67, these aren't just numbers. They represent a level of perfection that collectors and investors are willing to pay top dollar for. So imagine this: a 1991 Jefferson nickel with a sharp strike, bold mint mark, no visible wear, and possibly a rare error, all preserved in near-perfect condition. This isn't just a piece of pocket change anymore. It becomes a historic artifact, a collector's dream, and a powerful reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked items can hold massive potential. But where can you find one of these rare coins? The beauty of it is, they're not locked away in museums. They're out there in the world. In old piggy banks. In forgotten drawers. In inherited coin collections. Even in bags of coins from the bank. All it takes is a watchful eye and a bit of curiosity, and if you think you've got one, don't rush to sell it. First, take it to a coin dealer or submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations will examine your coin under extreme magnification, determine its authenticity and quality, and give it an official grade. With that certification, you can unlock the coin's true market value. You can keep it as a collectible, pass it down as a family heirloom, or, if you choose to sell, possibly earn a massive return on something that originally cost 5 cents. It's incredible to think about, but this isn't just a coin. It's a window into America's history. A tribute to a founding father. A product of careful design and precise minting. And in a few rare cases, a door to financial opportunity. And now, the part you've been waiting for. If you have a 1991 Jefferson nickel with the right mint mark, preserved in exceptional condition, and maybe, just maybe, with a rare mint error that sets it apart from every other nickel out there, that coin could be valued as high as $70,000. That's right. $70,000. For a 5-cent coin. Today, we're unlocking the secrets of one of the most overlooked coins in American pockets, the Jefferson nickel. But not just any Jefferson nickel. We're zooming in on the 5-cent coin from the year 1989. You might be surprised by what you're about to hear, because this humble little coin, something you might not give a second glance to, could hold far more value than its face suggests. If you've ever tossed one of these into a change jar or spent it without a thought, you may want to think again. Now let's rewind the clock and talk about the time this coin was minted. The year was 1989, Ronald Reagan was finishing his final year as president, the Berlin Wall was on the brink of falling, and technology was just beginning to reshape the world. It was a time of transformation and transition, both globally and domestically. Amidst all this change, the U.S. Mint continued its long-standing tradition of producing the 5-cent coin featuring none other than Thomas Jefferson. The Jefferson nickel had already been circulating for over 50 years by that point. Since its debut in 1938, it had become a familiar part of American life. Jefferson's stately profile on the obverse and the majestic Monticello on the reverse made it a fixture of pocket change, vending machines, and cash registers across the country, but like every coin series, not every year is created equal. And that brings us to why 1989 is a year you'll want to pay special attention to. The 1989 Jefferson nickel was produced at multiple mints. The Denver Mint, marked with AD, the Philadelphia Mint, marked with AP, and San Francisco, with an S, were all in operation that year. And it's those little mint marks, those tiny letters on the right side of the Monticello, that can play a huge role in a coin's desirability. Philadelphia and Denver nickels were mass-produced for everyday circulation, while San Francisco nickels from this period were typically proof coins, made with special care for collectors. But here's where it gets interesting: errors, anomalies, and incredibly well-preserved pieces began to catch the attention of collectors and grading professionals. Even among millions of coins minted in 1989, some stood out, not for being flashy or made of precious metals, but for being struck with nearly flawless precision or carrying unintentional errors that slipped through quality control. Let's take a moment to talk about what makes some of these coins so rare and valuable. The answer lies in a combination of condition, minting errors, and visual uniqueness. First, condition. Most nickels from 1989 have seen decades of use. They're scratched, dull, and worn down. But once in a while, a coin surfaces that looks brand new, perfectly preserved, sharp in every detail, as if it just left the mint yesterday. These coins are described as being in mint state, and the higher the grade, especially MS 65 and above, the more desirable they are to collectors. Next, minting errors. Mistakes made during production might sound like a flaw, but in the world of numismatics, they can be pure gold. An off-center strike, a double die, where the image appears twice slightly offset, a repunched mint mark, or even a coin struck on the wrong type of metal blank, these can turn an ordinary coin into a spectacular find. Imagine spotting one of these errors with just a magnifying glass and a bit of curiosity. That tiny imperfection might make your coin incredibly rare, possibly one of a kind. And that's what drives coin collectors wild. Because rarity, especially when combined with pristine condition, can make a coin skyrocket in value. Let's not forget the story behind the design itself. Thomas Jefferson wasn't just a founding father, he was a visionary. The image on the front of the coin reflects his commitment to democracy, learning, and freedom. The Monticello on the back is more than just a house, it's a symbol of Jefferson's intellect, architectural brilliance, and legacy. Holding one of these coins in your hand is like holding a little piece of American history, but what's even more exciting than the history is the chance that the very coin you have sitting at home could be part of that story. That's right, rare 1989 Jefferson nickels have shown up in unexpected places. Garage sales, inherited coin collections, even loose change at the bottom of a drawer. People often dismiss these coins because they're just nickels, but once in a while, someone stumbles upon something truly special. So what should you do if you think you have a 1989 Jefferson nickel worth examining? First, look for the mint mark. Check the condition. Does it look sharp and well-defined? Hold it under a light and look for anything unusual. Letters that appear doubled. A mint mark that looks off-center or repunched. A coin that seems thicker or thinner than usual. And if something looks different, don't let it go unnoticed. The next step is grading. Getting your coin professionally graded is the only way to know its true value. Services like PCGS or NGC will carefully examine your coin, grade its condition, and determine if it has any valuable traits. If your coin is confirmed to be an error coin or in mint state, you might just be holding a rare gem that collectors across the world are eager to add to their collections. And now, after all that history, detail, and discovery, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. You've learned what makes a Jefferson nickel special, why 1989 is a year worth paying attention to, and what rare traits to look for. So how much could one of these 1989 Jefferson nickels with a mint mark actually be worth, if it's the right variety, in the right condition, with a rare and desirable feature? Get ready. Because one of these special nickels has been reported to reach a stunning value of $72,000, yes, you heard that correctly. A 5-cent coin, struck in 1989, has the potential, under the right circumstances, to be worth more than a brand new luxury vehicle or even a year's salary. All tucked into a coin you could hold between your fingers. Today's journey is going to take us back over half a century to explore one of the most iconic and widespread coins in American pockets, the Jefferson nickel. But we're not just talking about any nickel, we're talking about the 1964 Jefferson nickel with a mint mark, a coin that, believe it or not, could be hiding real treasure in plain sight. You've probably seen this coin countless times. Maybe it's in your coin jar, maybe it fell between your couch cushions, or maybe it's part of a collection passed down from a family member. But the 1964 nickel is not just a common piece of currency, it holds a deeper story, one rooted in American history, wartime economics, minting oddities, and yes, potential value beyond anything you might expect. Let's begin by stepping into the historical moment that was 1964. The United States was in the midst of significant transformation. The civil rights movement was reaching new heights, the Vietnam War was escalating, and the space race with the Soviet Union was in full swing. While all these monumental events were happening, something was also shifting quietly in the background, something to do with coins. By the early 1960s, the demand for silver was rapidly increasing, and the U.S. Mint was preparing to make some major changes to coin compositions. In fact, 1964 was the final year that 90% silver coins were minted for circulation in denominations like dimes, quarters, and half dollars. However, nickels had already been mostly non-silver since the 1940s, except during wartime when their composition temporarily changed. The Jefferson nickel, introduced in 1938, had become a staple of everyday life in America. Designed by Felix Schlag, it featured a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse side and his beloved home, Monticello, on the reverse. But in 1964, something unique happened. The mint produced more nickels than ever before in response to a growing coin shortage. In fact, over 2.8 billion Jefferson nickels were struck in 1964, making it one of the most produced nickels in U.S. history. So with such high mintage numbers, why should anyone care about the 1964 nickel? Here's where things get interesting. Even though the number of coins produced was enormous, not all 1964 nickels are created equal. That's where mint marks, condition, and hidden minting errors come into play. In 1964, the U.S. Mint was striking nickels in two major locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The mint mark, either a P, sometimes omitted, or a D for Denver, was located on the reverse side, just to the right of Monticello. Spotting the mint mark is the first clue in identifying where your coin came from, and that alone can play a big role in determining its rarity and value. But here's the twist. Because so many nickels were being made that year, the mint machines were running constantly, and in the process, some unexpected things happened. Minting errors. Overused dies. Misalignments. Double strikes. All of these resulted in small, but critical, imperfections that collectors today are desperately searching for. A few specific examples. Some 1964 Jefferson nickels show doubling on the date or the word Liberty. Others may have a repunched mint mark, which is when the letter was stamped twice, slightly off from the first strike. Some are off-center, blockage errors, or even struck on the wrong planchet, which means they were minted on a metal blank intended for a different coin entirely. If that sounds rare, it's because it is. These types of errors are incredibly uncommon and are usually caught during the minting process. But in a year like 1964, when the mint was pushing to meet production demands, some of these error coins slipped through undetected and entered circulation. Then there's the condition factor. Even if your 1964 Jefferson nickel doesn't have an error, it can still be worth a significant amount of money, if it's in exceptional condition. A coin that has never been circulated and shows no signs of wear is considered to be in mint state, usually graded on a scale from MS-60 to MS-70. The closer your coin gets to MS-70, virtually perfect, the more valuable it becomes. Professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, examine every tiny detail of a coin under magnification to determine its authenticity and condition. And if your 1964 nickel gets one of those high mint state grades, especially with a rare variety or error, you could be looking at something far more than pocket change. So you might be asking, where can you find one of these coins? The answer is simple: anywhere. These nickels are still out there. In coin rolls from the bank. In inherited collections. Inside dusty piggy banks. At flea markets, estate sales, antique stores, and yard sales. And the best part? Most people don't know what to look for, which means there are valuable coins still waiting to be discovered by someone with a sharp eye and a little curiosity. If you think you found a 1964 Jefferson nickel that looks unusual, maybe it has sharper details than usual, or the mint mark looks a little strange, don't spend it. Hold on to it. Get it appraised or graded. And be sure to store it properly in a safe, dry environment to preserve its condition. The nickel may be small, but the value it holds could be enormous. The Jefferson nickel isn't just a coin. It's a miniature time capsule. A snapshot of American history. A reflection of Jefferson's enduring legacy. And in some very rare cases, it's a powerful example of how ordinary things can become truly extraordinary. Now, if you've stuck around until this point in the video, you're probably wondering, okay, so what's the big number? Let's say you've got the perfect storm, a 1964 Jefferson nickel with a rare error, a sharp strike, an unusual feature, and it's been professionally graded in high mint state condition. What could it possibly be worth? Take a deep breath, because one such coin has been valued at a jaw-dropping total of $76,000. That's right. A 5-cent coin, nearly forgotten by most people, has the power to become a life-changing discovery. And the next one could be hiding in your home right now. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of the 1964 Jefferson nickel. If you loved this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating stories from the world of coins, and tap the notification bell so you're the first to know when we drop our next big treasure tale. Keep hunting, keep learning, and remember, sometimes, history hides in your pocket.